My name is Juliet Dane. I'm 30 years old and a colonel in the U.S. Army. Tomorrow, I have an important meeting with my father and brother. What they don't know is that I'm the Pentagon official who will decide the future of their defense contract. 5 years ago, I left this house and never returned. My family thought I failed because I chose the army over business school. My dad once told me the military was for people with no future. That was the last honest thing he ever said to me. Tonight, I'm back for a family dinner. My mom will brag about Logan's latest promotion. My dad will be proud. Someone will probably ask if I'm still drifting around, like I don't have a serious career. I won't correct them. But tomorrow, when their boss calls me Colonel Dane in front of everyone, they'll finally see who I am. Let them enjoy dinner tonight. Everything changes tomorrow. When I arrived, the driveway looked smaller than I remembered. My rented black SUV looked too big next to Mom's old van. I sat for a moment, calm but nervous, like before a mission. The porch light was on. The house looked the same, cracked steps, messy bushes, and a faded front door. Inside, it felt like I didn't belong but was being judged anyway. I rang the bell. Juliet, my mom called from the kitchen. It's open. Of course it was. I walked in. The house still smelled like flowers. The photo wall was still there, pictures of Logan's graduation, wedding, and his kids. No photos of me, not even the army photo I sent years ago. Dinner's almost ready, my mom said without looking up. Logan just got another promotion. Can you believe it? That's great, Mom, I said politely. You should congratulate him. He's leading the systems integration team now. Everyone says he's going places. That phrase used to sting. It meant I wasn't going anywhere. Now, it just sounded empty. The table was set for 6. It was clear where everyone would sit, Logan at the head, Dad beside him, Mom in the middle, me, just wherever they put me. Logan and his wife, Mariel, arrived right on time. He wore a stylish blazer. She brought fancy wine no one really liked. Hey, Jules, Logan said, hugging me while looking past me. Long time. 5 years, I said. He paused, unsure if I was serious. I was. Dinner was roast beef, mashed potatoes, and the same salad from my childhood. Logan talked confidently about his work, military contracts, bonuses, promotions. Dad looked so proud he nearly cried. And you? Mom asked, smiling like a stranger. Still moving around with the army? Something like that, I said. Still a captain? Dad asked without looking up. Close enough. Must be tough being out there all the time, Logan said. No big plans, just following orders. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My uniform, with its silver eagle, was in my suitcase upstairs. Tomorrow, they'll see how much I plan. I let them talk. This was the last time they'd ignore me. Later, I stayed in my old room. The same bed, the same quilt Grandma made, the same walls covered in childhood achievements. Nothing from the army, no medals, no photos, nothing showing I'd become a colonel. I remembered telling them I got a military scholarship. I thought they'd be proud, but my dad looked disappointed. The military is for people who can't do more, he said. You were meant for bigger things. To him, bigger meant a business degree, a fancy office, and working for his company, Westbridge Technologies. Logan fit perfectly into that dream. I didn't. Downstairs, I heard them laughing, their favorite son. I was used to it, but now, it made me smile. Logan's new job? Leading the team for the very defense contract I'm in charge of. He doesn't know. Tomorrow, I'll walk into Westbridge in full uniform and lead the meeting that decides the future of their military project, Project Sentinel. Back in my room, I took out my uniform, midnight blue, perfectly pressed, metal shining. I checked everything carefully. This wasn't about revenge. It was about showing them who I really was, without saying a word. The next morning, I arrived at Westbridge Technologies early. The parking lot was busy. I parked in the space marked Military Liaison, DoD authorized, stepped out in full uniform, and walked in confidently. Good morning, Colonel, the security guard said as he checked my badge. That respect? I never got that at home. Inside, I skipped the front desk and went to the executive floor. I already knew the layout. When the elevator doors opened, I saw Logan. He looked calm until he saw me. Juliet, why are you in uniform? He asked, confused. I walked past him. Good morning, Mr. Dane. I'm here for the project review. Then I heard my dad's voice. He was talking to some executives. When he saw me, he stopped. Juliet? What's going on? Why are you dressed like that? Before I could answer, the CEO, Lorraine Hart, walked up. Colonel Dane, I didn't expect you in person. Great to see you, she said, smiling and shaking my hand. I was nearby, thought I'd attend the briefing, I said. She laughed and turned to the group. For those who haven't met her, this is Colonel Juliet Dane, our Pentagon contact for Project Sentinel. She has the final say on the military part of this contract. Silence. I didn't look at Dad or Logan. I didn't need to. We entered the conference room. My name was already on a sign at the head of the table. I sat, opened my notes, and waited. More people arrived, engineers, directors. They introduced themselves politely. Some were surprised by how young I was, or that I was a woman, but when they saw my rank, no one questioned me. Dad and Logan came in last. They sat far from me, quietly. At 9 a.m. sharp, the meeting began. Lorraine introduced me and thanked me for improving their systems. I stood, gave a clear update, listed the changes I expected, and asked for reports. I spoke with authority. Then it was Logan's turn. He stood up, slowly, nervously. As systems lead, I've been working on a new rollout for Phase 2, Logan began, his voice trembling. I think it meets our goals. I waited, arms crossed, then I spoke in a calm, professional tone. Mr. Dane, can you explain how your plan fixes the latency issues mentioned in our latest memo? He blinked and stammered, I'll have to review that. You'll need to, I replied. Those standards aren't optional. Please revise your draft and send it by Thursday. He nodded quickly. Yes, ma'am. The room stayed quiet for a moment. Then we moved on with the agenda. I led the rest of the meeting as if nothing unusual had happened, but everything had changed for Logan and my father. The meeting ended just after noon. Lorraine Hart closed things out by saying, Colonel Dane will be here through tomorrow for more follow-ups. Give her your full support. This project is crucial for national security. As people left the room, many glanced at me, not with confusion anymore, but with respect. They knew exactly who I was and what I had accomplished. Afterward, I saw my father waiting in the hallway. He looked as if he expected to hear praise from me but was instead being judged. He cleared his throat. Juliet, we need to talk. I nodded and followed him into his office, where my mother sat stiffly and Logan stood by the window with his arms folded. It felt like a jury, exactly how they had treated me when I was a kid. I didn't sit down. I stood at ease, calm and steady. My dad asked, How long have you been a colonel? 6 months, I said. He repeated, 6 months, and you didn't tell us? I did, I replied softly. I invited you all to my promotion ceremony. I sent emails, shared news articles, even left voicemails. None of you replied. He opened his mouth to speak, but my mother answered first. We didn't understand, she said. We knew being a colonel was important, but we didn't know what it meant. Why didn't you explain? Because I stopped trying to prove myself, I said. Every time I called, all you cared about was Logan's job or your company's numbers. You never asked about me, unless it was to tell me to quit the army and come home. Logan spoke next, looking uncomfortable. We thought you were stuck, bouncing from base to base, not really moving ahead. He paused. You said last night that military people just follow orders. You even laughed when you said it. I looked at him directly. You never asked about my work. My mother reached for her purse but stopped. Juliet, I don't know what to say. We should have been there, your commissioning, your graduation, everything. I thought you were pushing us away. No, I said. I just stopped hoping you'd show up. A thick silence followed, uncomfortable but necessary. My father cleared his throat again. So, what do you want now? Public acknowledgement? An apology? A mention in the company newsletter? I shook my head. I want what I've always deserved, respect. For my work, for my decisions, for the fact that I didn't fail just because I didn't follow your plan. Logan stepped away from the window and spoke quietly. You reviewed my presentation today, and you were fair. You didn't humiliate me. I wasn't there to humiliate you, I replied. I was doing my job. He nodded slowly. It was impressive. You commanded the room. That might have been the first real compliment I ever heard from him. My father stood but didn't come closer. You've built something we don't understand. That's on us. We thought we knew better, and we didn't. For the first time, I heard a different tone in his voice, not defeat, but the start of understanding. He extended his hand the way I'd seen people stand at promotion ceremonies, quietly, respectfully. Colonel Dane, he said, voice rough. I owe you an apology. I underestimated you. I took his hand with a firm grip, letting go of any bitterness. I accept your apology. My mother blinked, then stood. We'd like to try again, if you'll allow it. One step at a time, I said, and for the first time in years, I believed that might really happen. 6 months later, my apartment in Washington, D.C., was quiet but welcoming. The living room overlooked the Potomac River, and the skyline stretched beyond the glass windows. On my bookshelf, a few medals sat beside cybersecurity textbooks and framed commendations. Not too many, but just enough. That evening, my family came over for dinner, this time at my place, on my turf. My father arrived first, holding a framed magazine article. Figured you might want a copy, he said. It was a feature in a defense journal celebrating Project Sentinel's success. My picture was front and center, in uniform next to General Armstrong and Lorraine Hart. He handed it to me carefully. It's been hanging in my office for a while. Thanks, Dad, I said. It means a lot. My mother followed, carrying a pie tin. Apple pie, she said with a small smile. Still your favorite, right? It is, I answered. She glanced around and said, your place is so clean and organized. I don't know how you keep it this way. I almost joked, military habit, but I let it go. She was trying, and that mattered. Logan and his wife arrived last, carrying a nice bottle of wine and, surprisingly, a relaxed attitude. After dinner, while Mom washed dishes and Dad helped clear the table, Logan pulled me aside. I used the rollout plan you suggested, he said. At first, the team didn't love it, but it works. Did you tell them it came from you? I asked. He gave me a sheepish grin. Eventually, after I let them think I was a genius for 5 minutes. I smiled. As long as it's working. It is, and so are you, he said. You've really got it together. I don't think I ever said that before. No, you didn't, I replied. Across the room, my father examined the medals on my shelf. His eyes paused on one that recognized my role in stopping a cyber attack on 2 federal networks. I read about that one, he said quietly. I didn't realize you led it. I was in charge, I said. He didn't say anything more, just nodded slowly. It wasn't a big, dramatic celebration or a movie ending. It was real, and that made it better. Later, we sat around the coffee table, drinking coffee and eating pie. My father raised his glass. To Colonel Juliet Dane, he said, who proved that your worth isn't in following someone else's path but in making your own. We all lifted our glasses. I looked around the room and saw something I'd never seen growing up. Genuine respect, no pity, no fake compliments, true respect, the kind no one could take away. In that moment, I realized something important. The real victory wasn't that they finally saw me. It was that, even if they hadn't, I would have kept going. For years, I thought I needed their approval, that if I worked hard enough, they'd eventually recognize me. But the truth is, I didn't need it to be valid. I was already enough. Walking into that boardroom in uniform wasn't about revenge. It was about quiet confidence. I didn't need to explain who I was. My presence did that for me. They once said I was wasting my potential, would never become anything. And yet there I stood, leading the very project they built their careers on. That moment didn't erase the past or fix everything. But it did something better. It proved that you don't need someone else's path to create your own success. So if people underestimate you, let them. Keep building, keep rising. And when the time is right, show up, calmly, fully prepared. Because the strongest proof isn't in what you say. It's in who you quietly become.